here. I'm happy and so humbled that you considered me to be a guest on your podcast. This is so exciting. And I just think it's great what you're doing. I think, women empowerment is something that I don't think we could ever have enough of. So the fact that your podcast is catered towards that is amazing. And again, I'm very, very happy to be here. So, you know, um, I, yeah, thank you so much. This is so exciting. I appreciate all the kind comments too. I feel like um, you are such an awesome person from the moment that we connected. I'm so glad that you found me. And at the same time, I know from the moment that we connected, I could tell that you're just oozing with positivity. And that's my vibe. That's my energy. Yes, I'm laid back, but I'm all with the positive vibes, and that's really important for me. And so it's really great to come across a client that has that similar energy. So you are awesome, Alina. I just want to say that. Um, but just a little bit about myself. I am a personal branding and lifestyle photographer, and what I do is, I specialize in helping business owners and entrepreneurs, and especially business owners that are, I would say, more in the beginning stages of their branding journey. Helping them develop content for their social media platforms. So I would say specifically digital content. And so that way they can use that content to not just have a digital footprint, but really be able to use that time after time to show their personality. And that's where the personal branding comes in play.
Mm-hmm.
I am based in Dallas, but have recently started to expand my services outside of my local area, which I'm very excited about. So I get to meet awesome people like you that are moving into Dallas, but then I'm also now traveling a little bit. So that's been very exciting for me, and I'm very thankful to be exploring that avenue with my business. But yeah, that's just a little bit about myself.
Awesome. So I'm glad to hear that you're expanding your horizons and, going outside of the Dallas area. I think that's so important for business owners to be able to do that. And if you don't mind me asking, what other areas or territory are you currently working in besides Dallas?
Sure, yeah. So I am actually taking clients in Mexico.
Mm.
I had some. I actually just recently went to Cancun and Playa del Carmen for both business and personal, and it was really
Nice.
great. Yeah, I'm very excited to build some clientele out there, and also other areas outside of Dallas. So within the U.S., I would say Houston, Denver, Los Angeles, and other surrounding areas in California. So I'm very excited. We're gonna do it in a phased approach, but
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So what got you into photography? How did that all begin?
Yeah, so I got started in 2016, and it's exactly what you said. It was more of like a passion. So it really started out as a creative outlet, as a hobby for me. I just really became intrigued with how to do visual storytelling. I in the very beginning of my content creation journey, I thought I wanted to be a YouTuber, and I quickly realized that, you know, it's YouTube is great, but it takes a lot of it does take a lot of time and energy, and you really need to be passionate about it. And I then switched over to platforms from YouTube to Instagram and realized that, oh wow, I really do love images. But I don't want to just take beautiful images. I want to be able to portray a story. I want to be able to there's some meaning behind it. So that really became my obsession. And I really, once I started getting skilled in the formal education around it and a lot of portfolio building, I then said, okay, you know what? This
Mhm.
creative outlet, this hobby, I'm going to turn it into a business. And that, really came into fruition, I would say, in like 2020. So.
Gotcha. What is your favorite style of photography?
I love lifestyle. I love lifestyle. I love personal branding because I find that not that I don't enjoy taking pictures of families and pets and all of these other categories, but um, I think my skill set shows really well in individual one-on-one personal sessions.
Hmm.
I think if it's just me and one person one-on-one, I think that's where not only do I enjoy, but I feel like because I have the general interest in that, it shows in the pictures. That person also tends to feel comfortable, and now we can make magic together. So.
Absolutely. What was that turning point for you? What was it that I guess made you decide or got you started on the track of doing photography as your career, your business?
Wow, so it's a great question. Um, so during the pandemic, I was working in a corporate setting, and during the pandemic, I did have a time where I got laid off. And when that happened, I was contemplating on um, either spending some taking a break and spending some time with family. My family lives in Tennessee, but I'm here in Dallas. And one of the things my mom told me at the time, I still remember, she just said, "Well, you know what? Things happen for a reason, and maybe you can take this time to just relax, and also why not just do your photography." And I thought she was absolutely crazy. I'm like, "Mom, like photography is like my hobby. Yes, of course I would love to do that, but like that's not going to consume all of my time. That just won't fill up my day." And I thought it was just the craziest suggestion, but you know what, Alina, it turns out that I actually got to see the potential of what my business was capable of doing, just by putting in 100% of my efforts into what I
Mhm.
love. And that's really when I realized that, hey, wow, this can become a business.
Yeah, absolutely. The owner of Huda Beauty, I don't know if you've heard of Huda Beauty before, but
Yeah.
she started uh, in a similar fashion. So she received her degree in finance, and then she worked in corporate America. She was laid off, and then at that time she decided, you know what, I'm gonna use my passion and see where it takes me. And now look at her. And I think her sister gave her like a $6,000 loan, something very small, like a $6,000 loan to start her beauty blog. And it's blossomed into her now being in Sephora and her, lash line. So yeah, every opportunity or every setback can be an opportunity to be just a better version of yourself. So that's a great story and very inspiring. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so during
It's
during
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I do makeup on the side. I have my full-time job, but if I were to ever lose that and have to rely on doing makeup full-time or skincare full-time, um, what a journey that would be. So what were some of the challenges that you faced? I'm sure there are many, but what was like looking back on that time, what is the biggest challenge that stood out to you?
The biggest challenge, I think, was getting used to being in an uncomfortable situation. So when I say that, I mean, being in corporate, and I know you understand this, Alina, is that you are used to a stable income. You're used to certain lifestyle also that comes with that, and you're used to getting paid regularly, right? It's very routine, it's very predictable, and when you become a business owner, some of those predictability factors, they go away, and so you have to be okay with that, and you have to know that you have to have enough faith in yourself to say, okay, I know the quality that I'm going to put into my work. I know what it's capable of doing, and so that's what I choose. And it is, in that time period, it's scary though. It's scary because like I said, it's uncomfortable, and it's kind of dealing with the unknown. You don't have something that is so predictable
Mhm.
every 2 weeks or so, right? So yeah, that would be the biggest challenge I think I could think of.
Wow. Yeah, that's frightening and very scary, but I'm sure that's also a motivational tool for you to just like be that much better and to make sure that you're producing the best quality that you can. You're putting 110, 200% into your work because, hey, this could lead to a referral or this could lead to my next opportunity. So you really are putting everything that you have into your job or to your career, which is a big part of you. So kudos to you for that. That takes balls.
Oh, for
Wow.
sure. Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, man, a lot of people would die to be in your position, but I don't know if we would all go through the sacrifices that you've had to make to be in that position. So, when you're thinking about time management, as a business owner, you're having to be very strict with your time management and your productivity. Do you have any hacks for us that you've used that really helps with your productivity?
Here's a few things that I've learned along the way. As a business owner, we can't do it all. Like our time is very restricted. Like even as being able to balance a corporate job, right, and then having your side hustle, that takes a lot. That takes a lot for you to say, okay, Monday through Friday, I'm working my regular scheduled job, right? But then, on the weekends, you're dedicating that to your side hustle. But maybe you're spending evenings, maybe you're spending weekends where normally maybe you would be with family or friends. And so I think our time is very precious. And so the hacks that some of the things that I would think about in terms of hacks are trying to figure out where you can automate your business. And because you're going to find in your business, if you really break it down, that there are processes that are very manual that require your time. And there are some things that you could probably use automation. And I'll give you an example. I think email automation might be something that a lot of people could benefit from. Having tools to post your content regularly, or whatever aspect of that. But just don't be shy when it comes to automation. Don't be shy when it comes to outsourcing certain parts of your business, so then that way it gives you the opportunity to really focus on what you would like to do. So that'd be my biggest tip, I would say.
I listen to a lot of podcasts and interviews, just like on YouTube. I'll search motivational interviews while I'm on the treadmill. And one thing that comes up often is that entrepreneurs have learned the hard way is don't be afraid to outsource, like you just mentioned. Don't be afraid to outsource the parts of the job that you don't like doing. If you're skilled at photography, well, you have scheduling, and I'm sure a bunch of other administrative stuff that you could outsource and automate. And so I hear that time and time again to, outsource the things that you don't want to do. It's worth the money to do it because it saves you time and gives you more time to do the things that you love. So that's a great tip. So what does it mean to have good social media content? And let me just say, when I went on your Instagram page, one, the aesthetic is very cohesive, and you can tell there's a story behind it, and you know what your brand is. It's a lifestyle brand, right? When you go onto your social media. So for those that are looking to enhance their social media presence, whether it be via Facebook or Instagram, what to you is good social media content? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Alina. So I think this answer is going to vary depending on who you ask, because I think it's a little subjective. I think when you're looking at social media content, you have to ask, you know why are you looking at that content? Are you looking to be informed? Are you looking to be entertained? And when I think about social media content personally, what I look for, um, is there clear messaging behind that content? Do I understand the purpose of this content? That is pretty important to me, because I think anyone can visually put out a pretty picture, but like, I don't think that's a super difficult thing to do. But I think if you can somehow capture a story with that visual, and if it's a very clear message, along with being visually appealing, I would say that that to me would constitute as good content. And then I also think, is it consistent? I mean, and consistency is going to look different for everyone, but you have to find your own consistency, I think. And if I'm seeing that consistently, then I'm like, wow, I think they know what they're doing. And that's what I would look at.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, consistency, being intentional, having a message, and for you to understand, okay, if I'm here, I'm clear as to what message, they're portraying. I used to think, especially with Instagram, I used to think, oh, I got to put stuff out, right? And now I'm learning that it's quality over quantity. And this, I don't need to post every day. Well, at least, I don't know, I guess not for me. Maybe some businesses do. But um, if you are going to post every day, make sure the quality is there. And I am learning to be more intentional with the quality of the messaging and what I'm putting out than the actual quantity of wanting to put stuff out just to do it, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, to that same point, I think it's really getting in tune with your audience. And I think that happens over time. And I think as beginners, if you are someone who's just getting into digital content creation, you're more inclined to post often and frequently because you're just trying to get your content out there so you can be seen. But then over time, I think as you grow in that space, you start to establish your brand identity. I think it then turns into exactly what you said, which is definitely quality trumps quantity. So I agree.
Absolutely. Now, going off of social media and talking about just representing yourself, whether you're a boss babe, you're a single mom, you're a work, or you stay at home mom, and your work is taking care of your kids. Whatever type of boss babe you want to be, what would you say is the most important thing to remember or to do when enhancing your personal brand?
Some of the things I would say, for your listeners that are tuning in, when they're looking to enhance their personal brand, I think the very first step is understanding your own niche. Be very specialized in what you do. I mean, and I think this is super important because whether you're a business owner or whether you're in corporate, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to be known for something. And you want to be the best at that, right? So, when you're an entrepreneur, you then need to get very specialized, and that's where you determine what your niche is. And then once you figure out your niche, I think, getting very familiar with your audience, because you're going to see that after you get familiar and you build these relationships with your audience, you're going to figure out what they want to hear from you, what they want to see from you. So then you can produce more of that content. So I think that's super important. I think if you are trying to make, a footprint within the digital space, then it's really important to make sure that you have very sharp and clear images. I'm not saying that you need to have, a professional photographer for everything that you do, but I think for when you're building out your own portfolio or for your work, very similar, right, to what you sought out, Alina, where you're really trying to represent your work in the best way. So you made an investment in, okay, how can I best represent my brand? Those kind of investments I think are super important because you will gain something out of that investment. I do believe that you will get your return on investment over time. And then also, I think to your point, quality is going to trump quantity. So in the beginning, when you are getting established or trying to become established, I think quantity is important. I think it's important. It shouldn't be overlooked. But then after a while, I think you start to become very intentional once you know your niche and your audience. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a healthy balance of being seen. And, as adults, we need to see something over and over and over for it to stick. And then having the quality to back that up, whatever, whatever industry you may be in, but to have a healthy balance of the two. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Any other tips or any last words that you think would be beneficial for listeners to know starting out, in I don't know, in the entrepreneur field or realm and tapping into their passion as a means of income?
Yeah, I think the message that I would say overall, and this is just something that, I've learned with experience, that I think might, um, I think this could be something to think about as you're going through your journey, is that just understand that changes are good. I know sometimes it can be scary. Like I had mentioned to you before, Alina, in that transitional stage where I was in between jobs, due to getting laid off and having to like focus on my business, that was a very scary moment because that was a huge change for me. And it was uncomfortable. But from my experience, I think on the opposite side of that spectrum, when you are complacent or you're a little too comfortable, I think that can sometimes stunt our growth. I think it can, sometimes have a negative impact. So, I would just say if you are interested in continuous growth and bettering yourself, set small goals. They don't have to be these large milestones, but, small goals that are achievable and that are realistic. Then that way you can hold yourself, accountable and making sure that you are, hitting those small goals, to reach your end state. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I would say.
I actually have that as my wallpaper when I lock my lock screen. I don't think you can see it, but it says tiny steps lead to much bigger things. And it's just like a daily reminder for me. Just
Yeah.
Alina, just take the next step.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah. Because
that
I
is
think
so
sometimes
true.
we just get so overwhelmed when we try to,
We do.
create these large goals where it's like, okay, this is almost starting to feel overwhelming or unattainable. So yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, just think about, and no matter what it is, if it's your weight loss journey, if, whatever goal you have in mind, it doesn't have to be around your career or business. It can be, any part. For me,
Yeah.
weight loss has been one, and that's one reason I have that on my phone is because I just have so many different goals. And my husband's friend said recently, um, how many jobs does she have? Like 11? Like, how much more is she going to do? And I have to remember that I can do everything my heart desires, like whatever goals I have in place for myself by compartmentalizing and taking those baby steps. And so you're absolutely spot on. That
And
makes so
you're
much
doing an
sense.
amazing job, Alina. You're
Oh,
doing an
thank you.
amazing job. Yeah, I think you are. And that attitude is everything. I mean, if you, just if you look at yourself, and I mean, from what I even know of you, I'm sure there's so much more that you're juggling every day. But just being able to do corporate and then also have your business on the side, that is, and you are also a full-time mom, you are a wife. I mean, there's just so much that you're juggling, between your personal and professional, that, hey, I mean, look, keep it up. You're doing great. And like you said, there's not a lot that can come your way that you can't take on and handle. So
Yeah, and that you don't have, thank you for that. And a reminder that you do not have to quit. Like, you don't have to quit when you get tired. Because I often get so tired. I'm like, God, why am I so tired? It's like, well, think back on what you're doing for, the past week. And I have to remind myself that I need to take a break. It's okay.
yeah,
You can take a break if
yeah,
you get tired. Don't quit. Just take that time out and then, pick yourself back up. So,
for sure.
well, thank you for that advice and all the knowledge you have. And I think you have a very interesting story to share with the world, especially with fellow empowered women. So thank you so much for
Oh,
telling your story. I want to switch it over to some more on the fun side activities and just keep it a little more lighthearted. So I have some questions here for you that don't relate to your journey per se, but just things I don't know that I'm curious about when I meet people. I'm one of those people where I'm all or nothing. Like, I hate small talk. I hate it. Like, I'll ask you these deep questions or not talk at all. And so I want to get into those. I want to pick your brain. I want to get into those deep questions. So if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
oh, I think I think somewhere in Greece. Not just because it's so Instagrammable. It's
And
obviously
pretty.
beautiful, but I think it would just give me an opportunity to have like this different lifestyle. And, I just, yeah, fascinated to see how other people live and, yeah,
Hmm.
just be in that moment. But yeah, I would say off the top of my head, maybe Greece. Yeah.
Greece. Okay. And have you ever been there?
No, I've
I
never been
haven't
there.
either, but it's on my bucket list. It's beautiful from what I've seen.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would you choose?
I think if I could have coffee with an historical figure, I would choose Amelia Earhart. And I think her story is fascinating. Obviously, I think she was known for being a pioneer in you know, the aviation field, and like going against being in a male dominated field, being the
Hmm.
first right to do all of these things. But just more than that, she not only was she a badass in that area, but she also, was an entrepreneur. She also was like developing her own like clothing and accessory line, and she also advocated for women's rights. She did it all. And so I think that's just so inspiring, and I just love to see women like that are, just doing it all and excelling in every area. So it would be amazing to have coffee with her.
Great answer. Actually, I was Amelia Earhart the last time I dressed up for Halloween, and it was when we lived in Amarillo. We dressed up in our HR department for the company, and that's who I
Oh,
was. So I'm going to share a picture when I upload this video to YouTube. I'll put a clip in of my picture, and I'll show it to you as well. She's one of the women that I look up to, which is why I dressed up as her. But that's a great answer.
oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure you look adorable. I can't wait to see that
it's
picture.
pretty funny. So tell me about the three most influential people in your life and how have they impacted you?
It's a great question. So I would say I'm very, very, very close with my family. So uh, the first people that come to mind would be my mother and my grandmother, and just really my family overall. And I know that's it's not giving you the third person, but it's true because I think everyone has had a significant impact. I say that, I get my entrepreneurial spirit from my mother. She's such a live spirit. She's very energetic. She's very happy, and optimistic, and she's very business minded. So anything that I get that is business minded would definitely be from my mother. And then I would say for my grandmother, she was very mature always, like, and I think, just a lot of wisdom and just financially very savvy. And so I think I've been very lucky, and I don't know, just inherently getting some of that from her. It's not like she just like outright told me like, hey, you should be doing this, but just like having just more of the concept of, it's not about how much you make, but about how much you save. Just also just building wealth. And I think she has just been she's always been a leading example of that. And I think, those qualities have really came on to me, I think. And then I think, altogether, I would say my family, which has made me, I think, more personable. You know, I would say they're just all hardworking people.
Hmm.
So my work ethic comes from them for sure. I grew up, in a family business. So, having that childhood where it wasn't the typical childhood where I'm helping out in a family business has really probably helped me grow up a little bit faster. But I think, and at the time I didn't really appreciate it, but I surely appreciate it now. And like I said, they're just good human beings. So I think that really contributes to any success that I would ever have would be from them. So
I always tell my daughter, hard work ain't never hurt nobody.
100%.
Yes, that is so great. One of the I think the best tools that we can pass down to the younger generation, or if you have kids, to your kids, is how to save. When my daughter started working about 6 months ago, that was the first thing I told her. You can open up a checking account, but you have to have a savings, and you're required. I told her you need to put 20% aside just to save. Her dad offered to pay for her car, and at first she was saving for a car, and then he offered to buy her a car. And I said, well, you still need to save it and not spend everything on Amazon, 'cause she loves Amazon. And she's like her mama. She likes to shop on Sephora and Ulta. And so I get boxes all the time from Sephora. But my thing to her is first set aside money and make sure you save. You can't ever preach that enough. So that
Yeah,
cushion. Oh, that's
that's
great.
that's great that you're teaching her that at such an early age. It's just going to stay with her, and so that's fantastic that that she's learning that from you.
Yeah, I mean, no knock to my parents. They're amazing, but I didn't learn that growing up. And so as soon
Yeah,
as I got a taste of freedom, I was like, oh, this would look great in my apartment. And, this, I was spending so much money and not
yeah.
back then we balanced our checkbooks. And so I wasn't balancing my checkbook. And I learned the hard way, and then I was a single mom. And so I did learn the hard way. And so I want to make sure absolutely that she does not have to go through that and learn the hard way the way I did. Um,
Oh,
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna play a little of this or that.
awesome.
I love this game. I don't know why, but it's like one of my favorites. I think it tells
Oh,
a lot
so
about a
fun.
person. It does. It tells a lot about a person. Okay, so my first this or that for you is pineapple pizza or candy corn.
This is an interesting combination. I I would have to say pineapple pizza, but with the caveat that I am not a pineapple pizza girl. I would just prefer pizza over candy. So
Yeah.
pineapple pizza.
It's like, which one do I pick here? They're both kind of gross, even though we do love pineapple pizza.
There you go. Okay. All right. Perfect.
Okay, so talking pets or talking babies. That's interesting.
That is interesting. I have to say talking pets because I have two fur babies. I am always wondering what they're thinking, and I feel like babies can eventually talk. So I think, yeah, talking pets.
And I wish the babies wouldn't talk and my pets would talk. Yeah, or the toddlers, like they don't start talking until they're about 5, and then my pets would always talk.
I love it.
So would you rather win the lottery or find your soulmate?
Soulmate.
I knew you would pick that one. I knew
You
it. Yes, because you have a lot of substance to you. I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I feel like if people choose winning the lottery, it's like all about the money and material things. It can be more materialistic. I don't know. That's my take on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't even have to think twice about that one for sure. Yeah.
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 So would you rather test the waters or dive in the deep end?
This one's tough because I think in my like younger days, I'm pretty sure I would just dive in the deep end. But now I think I'm a little more cautious. I like the tried and true. I like to test things out. So it's like I'm a good mix of both. But if I had to pick one of what represents me now, I'd say
Mhm.
test the waters.
I think as you get older, right, you kind of stray on that side or go on that side. Like you're a little more cautious than when you were
Yeah.
younger, for sure. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
Mm-hmm. Ditto. Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Night or morning?
Night.
Oh, that that reminds me of something. I'll ask you here in a second. Rich and famous or rich and unknown?
Rich and unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could do without the drama.
I just don't need people knowing that
Yeah,
that I'm
I'd rather be rich without all the paparazzi. And people, yeah, the Kanye West and the Kim debacle was like, oh my God, enough already.
I know. I actually feel bad for both of them in different ways. I'm just like, just
Yeah,
let them be, you know?
exactly. Me too. Passenger or driver?
Driver,
Hmm. Coffee or tea?
coffee.
Ah, what's your favorite coffee?
My favorite coffee, if I just went to a coffee shop, what would my standard coffee order be? Is
Hmm.
probably a caramel latte with almond milk, and yeah,
Okay.
I'd be good with that. Yeah.
Are you a grande or a venti type of gal?
I'm a grande gal.
Are you
That could
grande?
probably hold me over. Yeah.
Okay, so the question I wanted to ask you that prompted me when we're doing this or that is, what is your morning routine?
My morning routine. Okay, so basically, and this is something that has been more of an intentional effort, but it's really interesting that you asked me that after the coffee question, because the first thing I used to do would be have my cup of coffee, but now what I've incorporated into my morning routine is having a glass of water, that being the first thing that enters my system. I've also, even from the moment that I wake up, I've also uh, turned off like the standard like phone alarm that would
Mhm.
normally wake you up to meditation music. So then when I do wake up, it's more on a peaceful note. It's not triggering. I don't know. Like when I hear a phone alarm, that is really triggering to me for some reason. I don't
Yep.
like it.
Not a great way to
So
wake up. No, no, no.
no. So I wake up to meditation music. I try to take my mornings very slow and not too hectic. And then I walk my dogs. I go on a walk with my dogs, and then I make like a very healthy, balanced breakfast. And yeah, I try to do that very routinely. And then
Nice.
I have my coffee.
And then you have your coffee. Okay, so you walk your dog and then you have your coffee after all of that? Oh, okay. I did learn to drink a glass of water when I wake up because I'm the same. That was the first thing I did when I woke up is turned on my coffee machine. And now I drink
Mhm.
a glass of water because I've been told that my trainer told me, I don't have a trainer anymore, but she told me when I had one, drink a glass of water first thing because it'll cleanse out your digestive system. You want that to be the first thing when you wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seriously makes a difference, because if you think about it, when we're sleeping,
Hmm.
when we get our 8 hours of sleep, like ideally, if we get that amount of sleep, either way, we are pretty dehydrated when we first wake up. So it's almost just kind of giving you that
Yeah.
refresh. And yeah, it's great. That's awesome that
Yeah.
you're doing that.
Yeah. Girl, I'm trying. Well,
I
thank you
love
so
it.
much for joining me, Shermeen. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me, Alina. I had so much fun chatting with you. And yeah, this was such an honor. Thank you.